all of the praises and the glory to the Most High and the Son, Yahweh Bashmi Al-Shah Bashmi Rakakwadash. And double honors to the apostles of the great millstone, and as well as giving the salutations thereof towards the Akim, as forwarding the truth worldwide, and shalom to the Akim wa Akwafiam, as well to the heeding to these lessons, most importantly. And once again, it's your brother Laban, branching out of the GMS UK. And basically, man, this is just something that I want to go over just as of briefly. Back to this subject matter once again, which is near and dear to us, will be a reality sooner than later. So without further ado, let's go on forward with this. As it reads, why Wallet Moore's microchip will face a mixed reaction. A microchip no bigger than a grain of rice inserted into an individual's hand is the first mainstream step in creating a more seamless process for contactless payments. And there are concerns, however, over safety and privacy with trust in big tech currently at a low point. A Washington Post poll conducted in November 2021 found that 79% of Americans believe that big tech companies abuse information on the individuals that use their platforms. And this will make it hard to convince these people to go to their local doctors to get a chip inserted into their bodies. And I mean, it really doesn't make a difference whether people agree or don't agree, because people are gullible, man, on things. The powers that be, or much more the government, have you will, know how gullible people really are, and they can convince people into accepting something that they don't really want, which has always been the case. I mean, we could talk about from your politicians. We could talk about legislations that were passed. We could talk about the music that people listen to and many other things that people didn't like but have now come to accept. All right. So what difference does it make whether people don't agree with this or not? This is coming through. And as well as it's Bible prophecy. So even as if, let's just say these big tech companies don't want to bring in this technology to the forefront, or the powers that be all the way to the top, which gives the command for this to happen, right? Let's just say they don't want it. Guess what? They're going to have to do it, because it's going to be by the power and the will of the Lord himself to get this done. All right. So this is coming through, whether people want it or not. So now let's read some more on this. Wallet Moore's microchip is a handy version of contactless payment. And the first chip was implanted into a human back in 1998, which involves this guy from the UK. His name is Kevin Warwick. And supposedly he was the original to implant himself with the mark, basically. All right. And of course, he specializes on biomedics and being able to connect humans to the computer. All right. So you already know he has to be still in effect behind the scenes as well. Very useful. However, Wallet Moore, a startup specializing in payment implants in the form of grain-sized chips, claims it became the first company to offer these microchips for sale in 2021. It can be used in lieu of a contactless credit card. And the company claims that it has sold over 500 of these chips. And I just want to say this as well. Right about now, and that's always been the case throughout the years since they've been promoting this, they have allowed people to get into these, facilities to get an implant by choice, to see how the people are going to react and respond to having a chip inserted in them. And they've sold some. People by choice have decided to get these things inside of them. But what they wanted to see, like I said, and I'm going to say this again, is to see if people accept this or not. And what they really wanted, I think, and I'm just guessing at this point now, they really want to see how many people are going to get into this. And if people can accept getting into this tech, then we can make it mandatory eventually. You know, that's just my analysis anyway. Not as gospel truth, but you see what I'm talking about. All right. And so, so let's continue to read on. So as far as it goes to saying, users simply hover the implanted hand over a payment machine to pay for items anywhere with contactless payment systems already in place. it uses near field communication, which is the same technology used for smartphones payments, and it stores encrypted payment data via a microprocessor and a quicker and more efficient in carrying around cash or a card that is easy to lose. And this is what people usually do today, as well as even I myself. I have a card, a contactless card, which has a radio frequency on it. You swipe the card and you're out. You pay for your goods. Boom. All right. And as well as people use their phones to do the same thing. So the infrastructure and the technology is already in place. All they need is to come up with some form of a psychological operation and get people's minds swayed into using this implant. Okay. And they're going to come up with something. I mean, it could either be a psychological operation involved in Russia, or we got spies. We have Russian spies around, and we need to see if, who's a spy and who's not a Russian spy. And if you don't want to receive an implant, then there's a possibility that you're a spy. And this is what's going to scan. I'm just making, a psychological operation up. It could be another psychological operation they could be using, but we know how this devil gets down. And this devil uses these psyops to sway the people's minds into accepting something that they don't really want. Okay. And people will bow the knee. Okay. For the sake of their life, because how many people want to lose their life? People don't have a purpose why they should do that. The only people that have a purpose as to why they should do that is simply the elect, those that know the scriptures and as well as know their power. But the average person, they don't even know why they would want to do that. So for that, people are going to go with what they know, and they're not going to go on what they don't know, which is what they fear. So that's all I wanted to say on that regard. And I just want to play you a video, just a brief video. Let me see if I could pull it back, because I just had it on deck. Let me go to history. Yeah, this is it right here. Hopefully you can hit the video.
Yes, that's right, yes. Okay. Doesn't work? There we go. Magic.
And you could see the look on a man's face, man, the cashier. You could see how he was wooed by what he just saw. So, they send these guys out here to promote this tech all around. And as they've been doing for the past months and throughout the couple of years, is to once again see where people's heads are at towards this thing. And if people are with it, then we can definitely push this thing forwardly now. All right. But as I said, and I'll say this again, the powers that be, which are behind the media and as well as behind the government, they know how to sway the minds of the people to accept something that they don't want. And this is what they're going to do. And even if they don't want to do it, it's going to get done, period, because the purpose of the Lord will stand. Let me read 2 Peter 1 and verse 19. As it also reads, we have also a more sure word of prophecy, and whereunto ye do well that ye take heed, as unto a light that shineth in a dark place, until the day dawn and the day star riseth in your hearts. So it's all about taking heed unto what's going on and that we ought to take heed to prophecy. Verse 20, knowing this first, that no prophecy of the scriptures of any private interpretation, for the prophecy came not in old time by the will of man, but holy men of the Most High spake as they were moved by the Holy Spirit. In other words, the Most High was working through them with the Holy Spirit to bring these words out so that we can understand these words, the prophets to be exact, because really the Bible is the book for the elect. But when we know this book, we ought to be aware of the will of the Father through his prophecies. As it is written, the way of prophecy is of Yahweh Bashmi Yahushai, which is in the book of Revelations 19 as well. Let me see if I can bring that out, because that's what it's all about. It's all about prophecy. It's all about understanding what the will of the Father is. Okay, and so let's go up and we're going to read, I think it's verse 15. Or it could be verse 10. Yes, verse 10. Revelations 19 and verse 10. And I fell at his feet to worship him. And he said unto me, see thou do it not. I am thy fellow servant, and of thy brethren that have the testimony of Yahushai. Worship the Most High. For the testimony of Yahushai is the spirit of prophecy. And that's it right there. So we're in that spirit of Yahushai, as well as Yahushai was at the time when he was doing what he was doing. And he was doing everything to fulfill his Father's will, to fulfill the words of the prophets. That's why it reads in Matthew 5 as well, that he came not to do away with the law nor the prophets. What did that mean? Meaning he was in conjunction with all of that, and he was the fulfiller of all of that. So we have to have that same mindset. We have to be aware of where we fit in prophecy, and also be aware of prophecies, period, of what's to come and to past. All right. And the thing of it is, this is going to be a reality where you're going to have to use, to get by and by, you're going to have to get an implant. Okay. Because what the World Economic Forum plans on doing is transforming the world from an industrial version to a digital version at that, through Web3. So this reads how Web3's programmable commerce layer will transform the global economy. So it reads, the world economy is in the early stages of a profound transition from an industrial to a digital economy. The Industrial Revolution began in a seemingly unpromising corner of the Northwest Europe in the early 1800s. It substituted machine power for animal and human power, organized around the factory system of economic production. Soon it created the conditions to lift millions of humans from subsistence economy to a world of abundance. The digital economy began with a similarly unpromising origin when Satoshi Nakamoto published his Bitcoin white paper to an obscure corner of the internet in late 2008. I was going to say 2008. We call this the origin of Web3 now, with the first blockchain, but this revolution traces back decades as the slow economic application of scientific and military technologies of digital communication. And the first wave of innovation was in computers, cryptography, and internetworking, Web 1, which began in the 1990s, as you can see here. And basically, the reason why I read this, because I want to just, again, bring life to the point that the world is going to transform to what we know it as, to a digital one at that. So you're going to have to use this implant. People are going to get down with the get down, as usually what people do. People don't stand up for anything, and they fall for anything. And this is going to be the way. All right. But see, the men of the Lord are not going to be the ones to bow the knee, as it is written in the book of Romans, the 11th chapter, that there are preserved men 7,000, which are a completion amount of men that would not bow the knee to the image of Baal, which is the god of, if I'm correct, confusion. All right. Or in other words, it could also mean Lord of some other entity. a Lord, but of a different entity, rather than the Lord, the creator of the heavens and the earth, which is Yahweh Bashmi Shai. So we're men of Yahweh Bashmi Shai as we strongly believe. So therefore, we're going to do what Yahweh Bashmi Shai wants us to do, and we're going to walk his path rather than the path of the devil. All right, so that's pretty much all I have to say over here. And I can't forget, how can I forget this? Revelations 13 and 16. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. And this is the point. And he caused of all, both small and great, rich and poor, various classes of men, free and bond, those that are free from contracts and those that are in contracts or in jail, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their forehead, and that no man might buy or sell, say that he had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. So Esau is going to do something out here to push people to a corner where they can no longer resist against the powers that be, and they're going to have to get hip with the C-hip. All right. And the men of the Lord, they're going to have a stern heart towards these powers that were set up by the Most High. And they're going to stand up for Yahweh Bashmi Shai, that same power that put these devils in the power, and then he's going to take these devils down. That's the creator. We're all going to take that stand. Okay. And this is what we've been preparing our hearts for. As it is written, they shall meditate terrors. And a part of that, it is terrifying to know that the time is going to come where you're going to have to lose everything. But at the end of the day, look at the reward you're going to receive. And this is what makes us glad and keeps us going from day to day, because we know all that we've done to the very end, and we endure to the very end, we're going to receive that heavenly reward, that eternal weight of glory. So that's what's going to keep us steadfast. And that's what's going to keep us gripped, because we're going to see, or we should in that time have that vision strong in our minds of what we're going to be in the kingdom. And that in itself is going to be motivational for you to stay intact with the Heavenly Father in those trying times. And as well as the fear of the Lord on top of that, knowing what the Lord can do if you fall back. So that's all I have to say with this. I want to give all of the praises and the glory to the Most High and the Son, Yahweh Bashmi Shai, Bashma Rakah Quadash. And with that, I am out. Shalom.